The Sarita lore no one saw coming.
Oh wow, Snezhnaya's first live stream. I wonder what they're gonna reveal. All Khaenri'ahs are descendants of the Sarita?
Do you know what that means? That has heavy implications for the lore, but not only for us in the hit game Genshin Impact, but also for Minsleaf, bro. She's kind of like the stepdaughter of the Sarita now. She's like an in-law.
Wait, what? Yeah, I'm not even going to do the normal intro for this one. The Genshin devs just dropped the single biggest lore bomb I have ever seen.
By the way, I just want to say this in a YouTube video because I've already said it on Twitter. Listen, I am kind of disappointed in Valeri's luck. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I am. However, that disappointment did not last long because Meteor, oh my goodness. I did not expect to absolutely love this guy's design as much as I do. I already liked his design, by the way. I wasn't a Meteor slanderer. I really liked his design and his fashion and everything about him. I didn't expect his 3D model to look this good. His 3D model might be one of my favorite in the entire game.
I'm out of a live stream. And I need to get straight into it. And look, I love a good clickbait or catchy phrase as much as the next channel, but
also I love Vodyanitsa's little microphone chest.
I need to get straight into it. And look,
little microphone chest. I'm assuming that's what this is kind of supposed to be anyway.
I love a good clickbait or catchy phrase as much as the next channel, but this is not that. This is not clickbait. I repeat, this is not clickbait.
No.
They came out and said that all Khaenri'ahs are descendants of the Sarita.
Wild.
Okay, so what does that actually mean? Now get comfortable, settle in, because Minsleaf is about to tell you a bedtime story.
Oh, hell
and it
yeah.
comes from an in-game book called Hymns of the Far North. It's
oh, hell no. I've played these games before, Minsleaf. Oh. Okay, let's go.
Starts with a young man named Satalainen. Cheerful, fair, kind-hearted, noble-born, and nobly raised.
Okay.
A gentle and valiant hero type. He rides across the forsaken Isle of Hisi and into Pohjola, a dark, fog-shrouded island in the far north.
Is that how it's
the gods
freaking
had
pronounced,
sealed
bro?
off. All this
I thought it was Payola.
to court a woman, the daughter of Pakaisuko. But Satalainen isn't just some random young lad.
Snezhnaya.
He is the third descender.
Bam! Lore bomb! Satalainen, third descender, get it in your minds because that is going to come up a lot during Snezhnaya. I am almost confident about it. I am confident, but you know what I mean.
One of only 4 known beings who transcend above Tevat's laws and can actually influence its fate. Pakaisuko, or Father Frost, was a fae who served the Hyperboreans. Satalainen was in love with Pakaisuko's daughter, Snegurochka, and Pakaisuko agrees to the marriage proposal, but on one condition. Satalainen can have his daughter's hand only if he opens the gates of Pohjola. Sounds simple until you realize it's a trap. Opening those gates means trespassing into the seat of the heavenly principles.
Dude, this whole place looks so stunning. It is unbelievable. Genuinely. It is so goddamn pretty.
And that carries a death sentence.
Yep.
And Satalainen knew. He understood exactly what this was, and he walked into this trap anyways.
Yeah.
Why? Because if he refused,
I just realized as
what
well,
this was, and
doesn't this look eerily celestial? Like, I'm not saying like the enemy and stuff, although we've never seen an enemy that looks kind of like this before, so maybe. But like these up here kind of looks like the things that look like the nails around Celestia right now. Wait a minute as well.
Pakaisuko agrees to the marriage proposal.
Who the hell is this dude? Because this guy... Okay, I'm about to say something fucking crazy. Something has bugged me for quite a while. This bitch. Raria's eyes don't typically follow like the normal pattern of Khaenri'ah eyes. Yeah, no. Open your eyes, bro, Raria. It's all fan art with the eyes open, bro. I need him to open fucking wide for me. Wait, okay, no. I need him to open his eyes. I guess they kind of do. They're more like diamond. I guess they are still diamond, aren't they? I'm thinking like compared to freaking Dainsleif, for example. What? Because they go more like Primogems stars. This shape, 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 this shape. But Maria's, oh, I guess. Oh, interesting. Okay, no, they are. It's just the pupil that's not, I guess. I'm just looking, dude. I'm just looking. This. Listen. What you notice in the image that we just showed about the Khaenri'ah eyes, they all have this very similar aesthetic, right? Where it's like a diamond, but it's typically a different shaped diamond other than Maria. And then also this like light at the bottom, more so than others. This is going to sound fucking ridiculous. Maria's eyes look like a combination of his and possibly the Sarita's design where it's like the star shape, is what I'm thinking. But his actions are also reminding me of the Traveler. Not to say all, I'm just thinking, could this be like a flashback of the third Descender? I don't think all Descenders were at the same. I don't think we at the same as Nibelung, for example. Wait, what is this? What is this, this mark? Same as Nicole. You think it's young Ved? Oh, it could be, dude. Because I was thinking this looks kind of Khaenri'ah as well. Oh, this is interesting. Because, like, but, like, would they show them in this trailer just like this as a random fucking NPC? Listen to what they're talking about in the live stream while talking about this scene. Wait, what are they talking about in the live stream when talking about this scene? You may even get to attend a Snezhnaya wedding. But I think that's talking about this part, not the last part. Because isn't this a Snezhnaya cafe? Is this the same place? The windows behind with the flowers? I mean, it very much probably is, but I want to see. I don't necessarily think that means it's the same wedding. I mean, it could be. It could just be a random fucking NPC, but it feels kind of weird to put him there. What if that's the Tsaritsa and the third Descender's wedding? Nah, it looks like a fucking kid. Looks young. Sorry, I'm getting so hooked on this part. I haven't even let Min like fucking talk for a second in this video, bro. We're 1 minute and 23 in. I should let her yap because it's a theory about something totally different. I'm sorry. I spent 14 minutes going through a minute. Jesus. Sorry. I'm just really excited about the lore of Snezhnaya. Let's go.
Satalainen can have his daughter's hand only if he opens the gates of Pohjola. Sounds simple until you realize it's a trap. Opening those gates means trespassing into the seat of the heavenly principles.
Indeed.
And
this is what I was trying to find about the theory. It's like this part here.
Opening those gates means trespassing into the seat of...
This part here looks very celestial. It looks like it could be celestial if you squint a little bit.
The heavenly principles. And that carries a death sentence.
Especially here.
Satalainen knew. He understood exactly what this was, and he walked into this trap anyways.
Yep.
Why? Because if he refused, Pakaisuko would have taken the punishment out on his own daughter, the woman he loved, instead. So he walked into his own execution to spare her. Inside Pohjola, the heavenly principles killed him. They carved his body into 7 pieces. And those 7 pieces became the 7 Gnosis, the powerful devices the 7 Archons ended up carrying. His lover was left a widow before she was ever a bride.
Can you imagine if the contract to end all contracts was actually to do with this? And it was like, instead of killing him, the contract would be... Because they knew about the 3 deadly selves even back then, I think. What if it was like, use part of his power, hence erosion taking form on him a lot more because he is older as well. What if he sacrificed a portion of his power, the Tsaritsa sacrificed a portion of hers so that the heavenly principles could use a bit of theirs, and instead of making 3 or 6 deadly selves, they made 7. But then that would go against the heavenly principles, I guess. They wouldn't want to do that, I don't think, even if it is diluted power. I don't think they would necessarily want to bargain that. It's not like a Dormammu, I've come to bargain, here's my final offer type shit. You think the contract's to remove the Archon system? Yeah, so I think we know now that visions, Allergenes are basically contract holders. The visions are the contracts, right? It's like you get a portion of power in return for fulfilling certain duties, and if you fulfill your duties as a vision wielder, you get to ascend. And then when you ascend, a portion of your power is given back to the gods. That is what was in the game. I can't remember exactly where that was, but that was somewhere, maybe the manga. So I do think Zhongli's contract to end all contracts is very likely to usher in a new world with the Tsaritsa, to get rid of all visions and replace it with some other form of power. But I can't think what it is.
Condemned to never marry again. Now, if that woman, the daughter of Pakaisuko, the snow maiden Snegurochka, is the Tsaritsa, then we already know a lot about her story. The Gnosis she has spent the entire story hunting down are these scattered remains of her lover. Her whole war on Celestia partly involves revenge. Keep in mind this is still a theory. And then there's this detail I can't stop thinking about, especially after the Sudden Snow trailer.
I'm gonna let Min yap for quite a while here because I want to say one last thing that I thought was very interesting. We had this conversation on stream earlier. Join the twitch.tv/BranOnline if you want to participate in these live discussions and call me dumb or say, oh my god, cuck, because that's like the 2 things that go on here. I've had a theory for the longest time. There was actually a YouTube short uploaded about it the other day. And that YouTube short was basically that this is going to be the end of Genshin Impact Chapter 1. Khaenri'ah is going to be Genshin Impact Chapter 2 because it's not old Khaenri'ah like people think it is. It's going to be new Khaenri'ah, which is what the Tsaritsa's plan is. Because the new information that came to light with the old Khaenri'ahs being descendants of the Tsaritsa, it makes sense now why Lumine was working with Piero, why he summoned her, why she's got the Loom of Fate, and why all this is going on. Now, the Loom of Fate is only one part of it. Natlan is another. They need a place where they can put new Khaenri'ah, right? That was established. And I don't think that place is going to be where old Khaenri'ah was. I think it has to be a pretty empty place, or a place full of Khaenri'ahns. Where do we know where there is a place full of Khaenri'ahns that is, I guess, occupationally pretty empty, or at least close to it? That would be Natlan. Capitano would ferry the souls of the lost Khaenri'ahns, which are the descendants of the Tsaritsa, and then become the master of the ley lines to protect and look over them, because the ley lines are indeed just memories. And then if she needs to collect the Gnosis, which would be the flesh realistically, right? It'd be the body of the third descender. I don't think the plan was necessarily to revive the third descender. I think the plan was to revive Khaenri'ahs and Khaenri'ah, or at least her son. Because if this is the case, and they create new Khaenri'ah with the memories of old Khaenri'ah from the ley lines in Natlan, and with the third descender's body, maybe this was an agreement that they had, right? It's one of those things where I think if she's frozen her son, it could give him a new place to live, right? I don't know. We need to know if that was metaphorical or not. I like to think it wasn't, because otherwise she's basically just delaying the curse, and Renova needs to go, a new Khaenri'ah needs to be made. For that to happen, no seas need to be gotten, Renova needs to be gone, Loom of Fate needs to be fulfilled, whether by us or by Lumine. New Khaenri'ah needs to be created. The souls are then the memories that are going to fill the place. It's just very interesting. There's a lot of things that kind of add up right now, and a lot of things where there's a lot of loose ends just kind of dangling, which we just need a little bit more information for. That's how Genshin always is. I just wanted to put that out there before we get too deep into this video, because now I'm going to sit and listen, or stand and listen.
After his death, Snezhnaya's name became unspeakable, erased. He survives only as an anonymous lost hero. Snezhnaya roughly translates to islander, or one who comes from an island. It makes me wonder if that's even his real name. Or is it a code name given to the third descender by the Hyperboreans because his real name is unspeakable? I'm guessing saying it might incur the wrath of the Heavenly Principles?
Island could be Celestia, bro. I only know of a few.
Alright, so how does this story tie back into that insane reveal that all Khaenri'ahs are descendants of the Tsaritsa? What I'm about to say relies on two theories to be true.
Okay.
First, that the Tsaritsa is Snegurochka, the lover of the third descender.
Yep.
Second, that the Tsaritsa and Snezhnaya, the third descender, had children together.
Oh, so this might actually be similar to everything I've just yapped about.
Neither of those have been confirmed as of now. These are theories, and for the rest of this video, I'm going to be walking through said theories. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
Yep.
Okay, if both of those are true, this means every Khaenri'ah descends from the children of the Tsaritsa and Snezhnaya, which means Khaenri'ahs have the blood of a descender running through their veins.
Which I don't think means that much, because that's like, I mean, even if we had a kid, right, doesn't mean they're going to become a descender, or that they're even necessarily going to be powerful. We don't know how that works. We don't know what that would entail.
Now, if you were the Heavenly Principles, suddenly Khaenri'ah looks a lot scarier, right? Picture an entire nation carrying the blood and maybe the power of the third descender. Because here's the thing, the only force strong enough to stand against a descender is another descender. So if that's what Khaenri'ah really is, a nation of descenderlings, then the Heavenly Principles has
could be a breeding ground for potential descenders, that's true.
Every reason to be afraid of them. And there's a piece of in-game evidence that makes this fit a little too well. René de Petrichor, the infamous Fontaine researcher, defined a descender as a being whose will can rival the entire world.
This is going to be so similar to what we spoke about on stream earlier. I think me and Min are going down the exact same path, because I brought up a few theories and chat was like, that's just Fontaine. So I think there's going to be a lot of similarities between Fontaine, especially Gnosis and Kreutz Institute, but Fontaine in general and this.
He also theorized that humans and beings from Teyvat could become descenders, not just aliens. Now think about Khaenri'ah. It's the one nation that reached greatness with no Archon, no Gnosis, and not a single vision. Just human alchemy, engineering, and defiance built into its very principles and foundation.
Yep.
What if Khaenri'ahs, maybe specifically pure Khaenri'ahs, contain the will of a descender in their blood? This means Khaenri'ah truly was exceptional, the only known nation whose people descended from an actual descender. This also means the Cataclysm and Renova's curse become exceptionally cruel. Remember what it took to kill Snezhnaya. The Heavenly Principles couldn't just strike him down. They carved him into 7 pieces to essentially neutralize him.
Oh my god. You know, this might actually make quite a bit of sense. I've always thought Renova was actually showing a little bit of mercy on Khaenri'ah with the whole curse of immortality, rather than just straight up obliterating them. What if they just couldn't? What if they literally just were not strong enough to obliterate Khaenri'ah and all of the people, so they had to just go with the curse of immortality as like a kind of a middle ground, I guess? I've never thought about it that way.
Not to mention, they had already waged a near world-ending war against the Dragon King Nibelung, who is implied to have been the second descender. Now picture the blood and potentially power of a descender spread through an entire...
This flower's incredibly interesting. This whole scene, in fact, is incredibly interesting. I like to think that this flower might hold old Khaenri'ah within it, or maybe a field of flowers just like this, and I think new Khaenri'ah is indeed going to be using the Intevats, and that's why Lumine's brought it. I also do like to think that Dainsleif now, by the way, when he says, I too remember how much she loved these flowers, I've never thought he was talking about Lumine there. I actually thought he was talking about Asmodee. Now, I think he's talking about the Tsaritsa, and I can understand why she would love flowers, considering on the moon, we found out that flowers can hold entire worlds within them.
nation. A nation that grows, has children, and multiplies on its own.
Interesting.
You can dismember one being, but you can't dismember an entire nation. From what we know so far, King Irmin's attempt to harness the Abyss was one of the main catalysts behind Khaenri'ah's fall and the Cataclysm.
Yes.
While I think Khaenri'ah's involvement with the Abyss was the main reason the Heavenly Principles destroyed it, doing so would have also eliminated any threat posed by an entire nation that descended from a descender. So not only was Khaenri'ah destroyed, but Renova also placed the curse of immortality on its pure-blooded survivors. Capitano can—
Yo, Renova got that pattern like the angels, bro. Look at that. Interesting. And like Amethia's hair.
Condemned the punishment as indiscriminate and cruel, since most Khaenri'ahs were innocent and knew nothing about King Irmin's or the Five Sinners' actions. But the Curse of Immortality doesn't just punish Khaenri'ah, it also contains it. Here's the logic. Death in Teyvat isn't an off switch, for lack of a better term. When something dies, its soul and memories cycle back into the ley lines and into Irminsul, well, now Aru. And Descenders by definition are a will that can rival that of the worlds, and they're also not recorded in Irminsul. So put those facts together and you get a real problem.
Descenders, not sinners, right?
Now, Aru. And Descenders by definition—
Sorry, I thought she said the sinners. No, Descenders. Okay.
And are a will that can rival that of the world,
like, did I miss something?
and they're also not recorded in Irminsul. So put those facts together and you get a real problem.
Yes.
If you kill the descendant of a descender, where does that essence or soul go?
You know, that is interesting, and I've never really thought about that. If that was the case with Khaenri'ahs, that would also add up to my theory about why Capitano actually did enact the Tsaritsa's plan, right? Because at the end of the day, if those souls were not even going to be absorbed into the ley lines originally, he just made them forced into the ley lines by becoming the master of the ley. He literally ferried those souls between the borders of life and death. Literally. Jesus! Wow.
The Curse of Immortality and the Curse of the Wilderness prevent Khaenri'ahs from returning to the natural cycle of life and death, leaving their souls trapped in curse-eroding bodies. The purebloods got immortality with their minds intact, which is arguably the crueler sentence, since it means living forever with the regret. The mixed ancestry Khaenri'ahs, like Khaenri'ah and Diridith, got the Wilderness Curse instead, and became the Hilichurls and monsters we fight today. So because Khaenri'ahs can't die, their souls or data can't go into the ley lines. People with the blood or power of a descender, essentially a will that can rival an entire world, being inside the ley lines might be a problem for someone like the Heavenly Principles. Yep. All of this also tells us that the Tsaritsa might be really old, like probably as old as Zhongli old.
Yeah. I was gonna say maybe older. I actually think, this is gonna sound crazy, I think Noi is gonna be by far the oldest person in the game that we know about, because it said he's years old, like he's been through eons typically a billion years. I don't necessarily think he's billions of years old. If he is, then he's probably not from Teyvat, right? Is it Nicole much older? Sure. We don't know how old Noi is. I think he could be older than Nicole, to be honest. We don't know anything about him yet. I think Noi is a Fae from Hyperborea. Fae were created from the bones of giants using alchemy, right? He could be created from the bones of one of the original dragons, maybe even one of the sovereigns. I don't know, but I think he has the potential to be at least like very similar age to Nicole, if not older. Genuinely.
His body, which means he had to exist before they
Nicole is too. A Fae?
did. And the Gnosis were already around going into the Archon War roughly 6,000 years ago. So Satalainen predates all of that. And that seems to line up with when Khaenri'ah was founded. Think back to the War of Funerary Flame. The war between the Heavenly Principles and the Dragon King Nibelung, where the world and the
from Hyperborean. Yeah, guys, I'm not arguing that. I'm not doing semantics here by saying, oh yeah, Nicole might be like a few weeks older than fucking Noi. I'm saying they're probably very similar. He's going to be one of the oldest characters we know of. He's the only character that has ever referred to time as fucking eons, for crying out loud. Right? It could also be that his original body is not the one that he's in now. We just need more info. We just don't know enough.
Moons got torn apart. That's the war that wiped out entire civilizations like Salvin Dagnir, the one that used to sit on top of what's now Dragonspine. And there's a specific item that pins the date for us. The Scribe's box from the Dragonspine World Quest mentions hearing of people building a new nation without gods, one that might have the power to stand against this world. That's Khaenri'ah in its earliest form, and that's about 6,000 years ago. Satalainen and the Tsaritsa could have had children before the War of Funerary Flame. Those children grow up and go on to have their own, and generations down the line, you get the civilization of Khaenri'ah. Now, I know exactly where some of your minds just went. Does this mean Khaenri'ahs are, keeping it in the family? Their family tree is a wreath? No, and here's why.
A lot of people seem to think that all Khaenri'ahs being a descendant of the Tsaritsa means that she literally birthed them all as well, which I find fucking hilarious. Like she's some kind of... like she's some kind of fucking... You know, like concerts and stuff, they'll get those cannons that shoot merch and shirts into the audience. The Tsaritsa's not one of those, popping out Khaenri'ahs left, right, and center, dude.
Khaenri'ah has been around for something like 6,000 years, so by the time you're that many generations deep, the bloodline is very diluted. Yep. On top of that, Khaenri'ahs weren't a single pure-blooded people to begin with. They were also a mix, people from all over Teyvat who moved to Khaenri'ah and settled there for generations. Khaenri'ah's own mother, for instance, had roots in Mondstadt. While yes, the Khaenri'ah aristocracy was famously obsessed with pure blood, I don't think that held for the rest of the population at all. And this is where it gets kind of poetic and makes me tear up a little. Khaenri'ah spent its entire existence hunting for a descender. The Crimson Moon dynasty was fixated on finding one. The Eclipse dynasty went as far as tracking the arrival of the traveler and their sibling from outside the world. Yeah. This whole nation searched the heavens for a descender and never once thought to look at itself. The very thing they were chasing was in their own blood the entire time. According to the 7.0 livestream, Alchemy is straight up banned in Snezhnaya.
There's a few reasons why this could be, in all fairness. Again, refer to the tweets, Bob, if you can. Sorry, Bob's got some fucking workout for it, bro. Ungion's circle on the moon looks very similar to the area in Snezhnaya, and that area was under a lunar veil, which was basically obscuring it from the rest of everything around it, right? It was hiding it. I do think the same could be said for this potential area in Snezhnaya, but that area is also where they said in the live stream a lot of the alchemical creations were / are currently residing and from. The creations being the horrible creatures with like 2 heads and stuff, which could be why Alchemy's banned, but it could also be banned because, like, think about it logically, right? If the Tsaritsa didn't have kids in the conventional sense, what if it also was to do with the fact that it was test tube babies, technically? Alchemical babies, you know? Alchemy! I think Min mentioned something which she might have in this video, actually, to me, which was about Albedo. In fact, I'm just going to let it play. Well, it's about Ryan Daughter and Albedo trying to create a perfect human. Let's see.
Partly so that Snezhnaya doesn't end
She might mention it, and when it comes to specific things that me and Min talked about, I don't want to say it because she's probably going to say it first. I don't want to act like I came up with it. I didn't.
Becoming another Khaenri'ah or Hyperborea. Alchemy was the exact thing Khaenri'ah excelled at, especially Chemia, the art of creating life. What I'm about to say is only a theory. If the blood of a descender spread across an entire nation over thousands of years, it would naturally become more diluted with each generation, right? In other words, Khaenri'ahs may still carry what I'm calling the will of a descender, but it has been scattered so widely that it remains mostly dormant. That would mean the Tsaritsa's direct children, potentially, carried the highest concentration of that power. From Khaenri'ah's perspective, those first descendants, Tsaritsa's direct children, could have represented something close to a primordial human. This may connect to Rhindaughter's primordial human project. We know she was attempting to create an artificial human through alchemy, but it is possible that her greater goal was to recreate the qualities of those original descendants, or children. A human whose will could eventually rival the world. That would align with Rene de Petrichor's theory that someone born within Teyvat could still become a descender. Satalainen may have already proven that it was possible. He seems to be a normal human young man born within Teyvat while being a descender. Rhindaughter may have been trying to reproduce the process of a human becoming a descender artificially. So now let's talk about—
Which don't you think is so fucking magical? Because Min mentioned this to me, but what I'm about to say as well, it kind of ties it in with it. The fact that she literally merged with the fucking ruler of life. Pretty much the perfect alchemist, with the perfect person to be able to create life, or end life, I guess, to be honest. And now they're both working with the Tsaritsa again. Do you think they were ever not with the Tsaritsa, realistically? Even Renova? There was a point in the live stream where somebody was talking and they were saying something about a favor that you did for me a long time ago or something. Part of me's like, bro, what if the Tsaritsa got a favor from Renova? If a form of death is like losing memory, what if that is Renova's power, right? What if us losing our memory was due to Renova? There is a chance that Renova's power is not literally just straight up death, like touch you and die, but it could also be memory death. Could be a lot of other things. It probably is just touch you and die, to be fair, but it's a cool thought. What if the Tsaritsa and Renova actually worked together in the past, right? We know Rhindaughter is a descendant of the Tsaritsa now. Wait, what if she wanted to wipe her kid's memory so he didn't remember any of the stuff? Because the people that remember Khaenri'ah and the people that remember everything that kind of preceded it are typically not very happy right now.
Rhindaughter may have been trying to reproduce the process of a human becoming a descender artificially. So now let's talk about the Tsaritsa herself. The Tsaritsa is a Snegavik. a cryo-aligned fae. And the female form of a Snegavik is Snegurochka, which again is theory, but it lines her up pretty well to be the third descender's lover, whose name in the hymns of the far north was Snegurochka. And it fits with what the devs have—
Dude, so the wedding that we were talking about earlier? Oh my god, dude, what if it actually is the case then? What if it is the case? What if so in the trailer, there was the blonde-haired boy. I'm assuming it's a dude. And then now they're talking about us going to a Snegurochkan wedding. What if the two are different, though? What if the Snegurochkan woman is not marrying that blonde-haired dude? What if that blonde-haired dude is actually the third descender, and that was a flashback of him marrying the Sarita? Dude. Oh my goodness.
Actually told us that her mission against Celestia is a deeply personal one. The Sarita is gathering the 7 Gnosis, which contain pieces of the third descender, while his descendants in Khaenri'ah have already been nearly wiped out. Under this theory, her war is probably not just revenge for her lost lover her fallen people.
Lost lover, huh? Lost lover, Min. Min knows as well, bro. I'm telling you. Come on. Come on. Minslave! Minslave! I wonder if Min actually does think this. Oh, fuck. I'll message her after the video.
She might be trying to restore the father of Khaenri'ah.
There's no way that blonde dude is marrying her, right? There's no shot.
Bloodline and finish the rebellion his descendants never got the chance to lead. Or the Sarita may be gathering a Gnosis either to use at their descenders' full power or possibly bring Satalainen back to life. Now all of this makes me think of Dainsleif. I'm really—
Of course it does.
Curious about his thoughts on the Sarita given this insane—
Oh my god, dude. Also,
now all of this—
Guys, everybody was saying that the Celtic-looking knot pattern on that blonde-haired dude looked similar to freaking, what? Nicole's vision? I think it looks similar to this. This is exactly what I was fucking thinking. It looks exactly like Dainsleif's, dude. The same freaking pattern here. There's no way it could just be Dainsleif, right? There's no way Dainsleif and there's no way Dainsleif could be— I mean, there's no way Dainsleif could be the third descender, technically. And it's just a different name, right? But I mean, it could definitely be a case of, obviously— No, I don't think that'd be the case. It could definitely be a case of that Dainsleif is, again, an offspring of the Sarita and the third descender, though. And that is why, like I was saying earlier, if the third descender was technically a Khaenri'ah, and even though Khaenri'ah probably didn't exist, the nation did afterwards, that would make sense.
Makes me think of Dainsleif. I'm really curious about his thoughts on the Sarita given this insane lore
the eyes aren't the same
Dainsleif holds
either.
a particular disdain for the sinners, for failing to help Khaenri'ah when the cataclysm hit. And he's got obvious hate for Celestia, the Heavenly Principles, and by extension, the Archons. He also hates the Abyss and Abyss Order. But he loves me. If Khaenri'ahs really do descend from the Sarita, then Dainsleif himself is one of her distant descendants. And that reframes something he once said about her, that she's a god with no love left for her people.
I'm telling you, bro, I deadass think that line about the flowers— But I remember how much she, too, loved these flowers. I think that's about the Sarita, dude, now. I do. I am sold on that. I thought originally it was about Asmodee. I think it's about the Sarita. I would put money on the fact that it is about the Sarita now.
Because with this theory, her people might literally include the Khaenri'ahs, his own kin. He might have some resentment towards her. He might have wondered where she was when Khaenri'ah fell during the cataclysm.
It could also be a case of, don't forget, the Sarita saying, like, her people have no love left for her, just like— Well, I guess this is exactly what Min just said, actually. Never mind, I misunderstood. Yeah, because I said this during the live stream yesterday. When people say, like, she's got no love left for her people literally could be Khaenri'ahs. I don't think that's the case, though. I think she does still have love for them, because I think her son is, technically.
It adds a whole extra layer to why he hates the gods the way he does, because if this is right, then even his own distant ancestors stood back and watched his people burn. Now let's talk about Project Stuzha. Stuzha just means severe cold in Russian, and this project has been name-dropped by nearly every harbinger.
Why would we want to rescue Sarita, though? Why would Dainsleif want us to rescue the Sarita? Is that what you're saying? Why would one of her descendants want to rescue her? I can think of a few reasons. The main one being that he's a descendant of the Sarita.
Since Arlecchino story quest. It's a Fatui operation run mostly through the harbingers Arlecchino, Tartaglia, Pulcinella, Pantalone, and director Piero. And Stuzha appears to be tied to something called Mistletoe. Now, Mistletoe can mean two things in Norse mythology. It's the sword of an undead king named Thrain, which happens to be Capitano's real name. And it's the mistletoe that killed Balder. Balder was the god of light, beauty, joy, and purity, and he was supposed to be completely invulnerable. His mother Frigg made every living thing in existence swear an oath never to harm him. Every living thing except one, the mistletoe. Mistletoe. That plant became the one loophole her protection couldn't cover, the exact thing that killed Balder, the god who couldn't be killed. So here's what I'm thinking. Project Stuzha might be an attempt to build Teyvat's own Mistletoe, a weapon designed to slip past the laws of the heavenly principles and kill something that's otherwise unkillable. And by unkillable, I mean the heavenly principles themselves or the shades. Then Capitano wakes up from his throne and becomes king of the world, right? Right? Snezhnaya only survives its unnatural Everwinter because of the Kresnik's torch, an artificial heat source the Belitzar, the first cryo-archon, had to build after the nation's green summers just vanished. Which honestly, I wouldn't be shocked to learn what Celestia is doing in the first place. That's a theory. If Project Stuzha is draining power away from those torches, then the Fatui might be deliberately freezing their own nation on purpose, weaponizing Snezhnaya's supposed Curse of Everwinter instead. Basically, they'd turn Snezhnaya's greatest curse into the weapon they plan to use against Celestia. Also, remember the Abyss siblings' plan to revive Khaenri'ah using the Loom of Fate? Yep. They wanted to use the Loom of Fate to rebuild the fallen nation, and to do that, they need physical land for Khaenri'ah's new ley line to take root. But now I'm not so sure the Tsaritsa would agree to that. Resurrecting a fallen nation full of the memories of people who watched the cataclysm happen firsthand, that might be another disaster or...
But again, she could utilize Renova at that point. If the plan isn't necessarily to kill her, because even then, dude, I still struggle to think that the powers of life and time could kill death. Even with those powers. We need to learn more about Renova. They're not going to kill Renova in this patch, by the way. That much is a fucking given. Because there's no way in this patch they're going to go through that failure of a fucking fight, go and get the favor of the other shades, and then kill. This is going to be the first meeting. We're then going to go on a fucking 2 to 3 patch training arc, and then we're going to fight her and probably maybe actually kill her. If we actually kill Death, though, that's fucking insane. I don't know. I really don't think we will.
Cataclysm waiting to happen. So what might happen in Snezhnaya? Right now, Snezhnaya is falling apart while the Tsaritsa is away. An unnatural Everwinter is draining the Kresnik energy used to power the torches that keep the cities warm. Despite the shortages, the Vekke, the nation's
How does one kill a concept? Renova is not a concept. She is the ruler of a concept.
Governing Assembly voted to continue Project Stuzha, which seems to be consuming the resources Snezhnaya desperately needs. Meanwhile, the Tsaritsa is far from home, leading a campaign against a monster supposedly responsible for the disaster. Wait, hear me out. It'd be crazy if the Cryo Dragon Sovereign was somehow behind the Everwinter. Maybe Celestia forced it to freeze Snezhnaya as punishment during the First War, when the Heavenly Principles defeated the Dragon Sovereigns and took control of Teyvat. Maybe the Cryo Sovereign was forced to freeze Snezhnaya as punishment. Now, I'll admit this is super selfish. I love a pep, and I just want to see more giant dragons. In this case, Stuzha may be draining the torches to fight this monster, or it may have weakened whatever was keeping the monster contained. Either way, part of the Fatui
Child's House.
We seem willing.
I really thought Child's House would be bigger.
To let Snezhnaya freeze if it means completing the project. That could split the nation apart, with Piero, Pulcinella, and other harbingers accepting the suffering as necessary, while others like Child oppose the cost. At some point, Paimon is badly affected by the cold and goes missing, forcing the traveler to search for her.
And grazing Renova, by the way. He got a hit on her and she looks upset about it.
Renova, the ruler of death, also appears to be hunting Paimon and trying to kill her. That could finally force the story to reveal who and what Paimon actually is. Man, if Paimon ends up being Asmodee in hiding or something and Renova's just trying to get her to unmask her disguise, that'd be crazy. Just a theory, but a super old one. The main antagonist in Snezhnaya
that'd be kind of fucking fire, dude. Can you imagine? That's the way they do it. The big red beams going towards Paimon, and it's just a flash of light, and you just see fucking Asmodee standing there. Oh my god.
Seem to be the Four Shades. The Traveler will also gain access.
You know what that'd feel like, dude? Just imagine that. We're trying to protect Paimon. We are the ones trying to protect Paimon. This fucking beam's going towards her. She just, boom! She's Asmodee. Do you know what that'd exactly feel like? We would be Ron Weasley, and Paimon would be fucking Scabbers in that fucking scene. It's your rat, Ron! It's your rat! My rat, Scabbers? But Scabbers is just my pet rat. Oh, is that the case? Whatever they fucking use. Peter Pettigrew. Evil. Evil!
This is Snezhnaya's new power system. The third descender Satalainen once visited ancient Snezhnaya and introduced a power capable of transcending Teyvat's rules, the stellar glimmer reactions. Because the Traveler is also a descender, they can seemingly master this power through the Statue of the Seven. Considering the theories we discussed, the Heavenly Principles killed Tsaritsa's descender lover, divided his body into the 7 Gnosis, and later destroyed his ascendants in Khaenri'ah. Gathering the Gnosis may therefore be her attempt to use Satalainen's full power or even bring him back to life.
True. true. Can we address the name of this sword? Yeah, we can give it an address. P. Sherman, 42, Wallaby Way, Sydney.
War against the Heavenly Principles would be revenge for both her lover and the nation they tried to erase. The missing Pyronosis will likely be extremely important. I also want Dainsleif and Khaenri'ah to be really involved, considering they might be the Tsaritsa's distant descendants.
That would be
Genshin
fire.
has also released a Snezhnaya web event page, and there's so much more hidden in it that I want to cover everything in a future video. Also, if you were watching the Snezhnaya reveal, then there's a chance
Why Sydney? Zoomers.
Saw me in the live stream. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
Hell yeah,
Minsleif, and I read the Genshin Impact lore so that you don't have to.
Let's go, Minsleif. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was a crazy video. I know I yapped a lot during that, bro. My head is all over the place with this lore, genuinely. I feel like it's opened up 50,000 different fucking trails on which way this whole shit could go, man. Oh, it's insane. It's insane. I hope I made at least a little bit of sense during this. Me and Min do want to have a chat, by the way. We are gonna be potentially having a call together, a little lore call together, but she's away for the next like fucking 2 weeks, bro, so it's gonna be really hard to get time. So we'll see.